What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum. I hope everybody is doing well today. And some of you are here because you just listened to episode 152 of the Wax Museum podcast. First off, I appreciate that. For those of you that haven't listened to that, it is the listener mailbag number 8. And I received so many questions that I ended up doing 20 of them on there. And I'm going to do 20 of them on my YouTube here. So my goal is to do this in 20 minutes. I don't know if I can. I still want to try and do every question justice. Not sure if I can, but anyway, that's the goal. That's what we're going for. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer now, and let's get going. Okay. So question number 1 comes from Hoops Cards and More 91. He said, what are some oddball memorabilia sets out there? Is there one with LeBron's black face mask or Steph's mouth guard? And I'm going to go ahead and pair the second question with that, which comes from Tough Times Cards. He said, what's your favorite oddball relics card? So I'll be honest with you. I think basketball is really lacking when it comes to oddball relics, at least compared to football, hockey, and baseball. They all have some really cool stuff. That's not to say that there aren't some basketball ones out there. So I'll go ahead and show you a couple that come to mind here real quick. And I'm taking these images from KWAME. So make sure and support them. It's one of my favorite sites out there. But the first one here on the left, you can see is a set from, I think it was 2000 Topps Chrome, maybe 2001 actually, Topps Chrome, called Lacing Up, where they had game-worn sneaker laces, which is pretty cool. Now, the only thing that really bothers me about the design of the card is notice like the torso is one size and then the feet are another size. So kind of a strange set, but it was something different at the time. Didn't really catch on, but those are out there. You got to pay up for them, but they're out there. The second one that's pictured here is one that I own, and it is a draft relic of Adam Morrison, and it's a piece of the suit that he wore to the draft. So at the time, he was a top spokesman, and they asked him if they could have his suit and cut it up, and they did. Now, the only thing that I really think they should have done with that card, though, is how do you not picture him in the draft suit? Which they did on other Topps cards, but not this one. So that one kind of baffles me, but anyway, it is what it is. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to show you something that Fleer did, which wasn't necessarily a card, but it was a redemption. So in the 2003 draft class, they did they had a redemption for this framed piece here that had the draft nameplate, the lottery ping pong ball, and then some of the other draft items in there. So these were pictures I had saved on my computer. I think I got them from WorthPoint at one point. You can see on the left, that was, they used Carmelo Anthony to advertise it. And then on the right side, this was from a listing that had the Chris Kaman version. So that would be a really historic piece to have. And that was courtesy of Fleer. So that was something pretty cool. Maybe we'll see more of that stuff when Fanatics comes back or Fanatics enters into basketball, I should say. But who knows? Now, here's one Topps Adam Morrison card that I would not feature on here. It is not game worn, but yes, this is a real card. Maybe I'll even put an eBay link for that in the comments if people are interested in that. Okay, question number 3 comes from Hobby Exchange. And they said the number of hobby scams and scammers seems to be at an all-time high. Is this just a function of more attention being paid due to the prevalence of social media, or has the hobby been run amok by bad actors? Well, I think, anywhere where there's money, any industry, when there's money, there's fraud, there are bad actors. Unfortunately, when the market in sports cards has grown this much, we're going to see that there's more stuff coming to light. Maybe it's been there for a while, and there are more bad actors coming to light. So I don't know, it seems like there's a lot more because there have been some major scams this last couple of weeks, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I just think, there's more money in it, and now there's more corruption. But at the same time, there are more good people and there are more good things out there as well. So hopefully we can help balance that out. Do good. Don't be a bad person. Keep it very simple. All right. Number 4 is from Jeff, aka Coach ITB. He said, you've talked about rescuing rare cards when you find them. What qualifies as rare to you? And also, are there any exceptions to the rule? So there's kind of a wide range here, because rare to me is something that is hard to track down and something that's not really on COMC or not on eBay. or at least not on there for realistic prices. So, in some cases that could be a prime twine card. If you remember, that's a die cut insert set that was numbered to 500. There should be a lot of them out there, but they're really hard to find and they don't show up. In other cases, it might be a Topps Total Gold card numbered to 10. So doesn't have to be an expensive card necessarily, but if I see something, especially an older card that's numbered to 10 or less and it's cheap, I'm usually going to grab it because at some point, somewhere down the line, I think someone will want that. And, either I can deal with them or I can trade it for something maybe that I'll need as well. And that's a strategy that I've used before. Question number 5 comes from Dennis Rodman Collection. It says some of your best bin quick click stories. To be honest with you, a lot of my best deals have come from either waiting lots out or back and forths with the seller. So there's not a lot where I just click bin and move on with it. There was one recently though. And I mean, the player's not great, but it was this Sam Young Logo Man card. They didn't even mention Logo Man in the title. I think it had been up 10 minutes before I got to it. So someone should have got it. But anyway, it was $30, 35 after shipping. And Logo Man at this point is definitely worth more than that, even for a player like Sam Young. And yes, he was a one-time pacer. All right, question 6 comes from Nebrolian_PC, who said, what prompted you to launch your own Wax Museum podcast? And when did you realize that the content spoke to your audience? Well, there was card content out there before I started, and it's hard to believe it's been almost 3 years ago now, coming up here in March. And, I kept watching and listening to this other content and saying, well, if I did it, I'd do it this way, or I'd do it this way. And some of those creators I even reached out to and said, oh, you should do it this way. Only later did I realize how selfish that was and how foolish that was. It's their content. Let them do it the way they want. And I finally decided, you know what? I want a show that's tailored to what I want. So the only way to get that is to create that. So that's what I did. As far as the second part, when did you realize that the content spoke to your audience? I get feedback almost every week, and it seems that people appreciate what I do. It seems that people appreciate the approach. So, I create the show that I think I would like, and seems like other people, it resonates with them as well. And I'm happy for that. I'm really glad to be able to share that with people. Question number 7. So 77 NCAA champs, I think, submitted 3 questions here. So I included all of them. So the first one, with the push for more sustainable materials and movement away from plastics, what would a plasticless or reduced plastic hobby look like? It's hard for me to even imagine that, to be honest. We've got sleeves, we've got top loaders, we've got pages, we've got slabs, we've got team bags, we've got bubble wrap, we've got plastic mailers, we've got totes that are plastic, we've got Zion cases that are plastic. So I don't know if it would be, I really can't imagine what it would look like. I haven't thought about that before. I would say, at the very least, maybe we could reduce and we could keep using what we've got. I know I try and reuse all of the shipping materials that I possibly can. And I hope other people do that as well. The people that complain about used shipping materials and tape on top loaders, honestly, they need to get over it, because it is what it is. Let's keep using this stuff and find other uses for this stuff. All right, next question, number 8. Is this era really a junk blank era? Prices are much higher for boxes, singles, etc. Boxes weren't produced at the gross amounts as a past junk wax era. It seems like an unfair bestowing of a term on a complex hobby period. It does feel like a junk slab era, though. And, when we can get slabs for less than it cost to slab them, even when it was reasonable, right? So we're talking when it was like $15 or $20 to slab a card. Well, now you can find plenty of cards that are already slabbed that are cheaper than that. So I think maybe it is some sort of a junk slab phase. I don't know. I don't like putting labels on stuff because, people get too attached to the labels or they get too fixated on them. It's definitely a transition era in the hobby, though, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Number 9, what single purchase would put Mrs. Museum Podcast finally over the edge? I got a good laugh out of that one. I pretty much have my own hobby funds, and I try and operate within my own hobby funds. So probably anything major that was outside of that compromised, I don't know, our quality of life or our well-being, that would be something that would probably be the final straw. But I don't plan on getting there anytime soon. Definitely not looking to do that. Number 10 comes from PC_305. Do you think that Fanatics will change the rookie card logo? I like this question here, and I've got some visuals that go with it. So right now, you can see I pulled up a Goga Bitadze PRIZM rookie. So that's the rookie card shield that Panini's been using. And it wasn't just for basketball. They were using it for football as well. It's my understanding that Panini owns the licensing to that logo. So they own that design. And you can see that there was a Topps Chrome Andrew Luck rookie card the same year, and they weren't using the same shield. So that wasn't an NFL thing. So I definitely don't think we're going to see Panini's shield go with them. So the question is, what's going to become the new rookie logo? My first thought was, well, let's look at Topps Chrome. And it was in, I believe 99 here, or I'm sorry, 98 was the first year where they had some sort of a separate rookie card indicator, at least on the front of the card. In the past, it was kind of on the back. So you can see they maintain that. There's the 98 with Dirk. There's the 2003 with LeBron. But then we went to 2009 and they had a separate logo. So there wasn't even a lot of continuity with Topps Chrome over the years. So I don't know what Topps is going to do. I don't know what Fanatics is going to do. I imagine, though, that they need to create something. I think it would be nice to have something. So we'll just have to stay tuned for that. Okay. Number 11 comes from Dars 90s Cards. He says, I know the 2000s are more in your wheelhouse, but are there any 90s base sets or inserts that have really gained favor with you in recent years? This is probably a pretty bland answer. It's something that's not going to be, all that fun. But as I started getting priced out, or as I ran out of patches and stuff to look at, I kind of went back and started hitting some of the Chrome Gold cards, which then caused me to go back and look at some of the older pre-gold refractors. And then combine that with the fact that, I had an interview with Jim Esker, who was the co-creator of Chromium Cards. That got me looking at a lot of the finest stuff a little bit closer, the older stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to track down some of these old Pacers finest refractors. That's more what I'm into now. So, or at least trying to get into and trying to build my binder of those. So I don't know if that's, not a very exciting answer, but it is what it is. That's kind of what I'm into now. All right. Number 12, there are so many parts to this. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose here, but it's Nebrolian_PC. He says, collect what you like. You've always been clear when it comes to your PC and what it's comprised of. Do you find yourself falling in love for something that does not check the PC box? Yes, I do. If so, do you acquire the card? Sometimes. And then do you have buyer's remorse at times? Yes, sometimes I do. Do you set a budget for those purchases knowing that it may stretch you thin should a PC card come up? I try, if I'm going to, fall in love with cards that are really outside of my PC. I don't do that very often, but I try and make sure it's cards that I could move if that PC card should come up. But I've learned over the years, don't stretch yourself too thin. Always try and have some type of funds or some type of liquidity available so you can get the things that you really value. And, every once in a while, a big card will come up that I have to really kind of work for. And that kind of helps me reinforce this idea that, hey, okay, there are some things I don't need. And that helps put things into perspective. Question number 13, Bob and I Cards. Rank the following 10 aspects of the hobby based on overall value or importance. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but, we'll take a look here. Breaking, products, influencers of the hobby, grading, selling platforms, hobby shops, card shows, and you fill in the 10th spot as it pertains to your point of view of overall value, importance of the hobby. So I don't really have time to go through and rank all 10, but I will tell you, I still think that card shows are underrated, even though they get talked about by influencers and everyone under the sun now. It's an experience you got to have. You got to get your reps in, talking to people, talking about cards. learning how to trade, learning how to buy, learning how to sell. It's just such a valuable experience. So I think card shows are underrated. And then I think breaking is overrated. And I'm not out to, to hurt anyone that's breaking or anyone that likes breaking, but the idea of breaking to begin with was to make some of those very few products that were not affordable, to make them affordable for the average collector. Well, now, it's gotten so far out of hand that it's enabled the manufacturers, and you've got people that are breaking blaster boxes. It's gone too far. I'm priced out of blasters now. So I think breaking is overrated. I don't think it's as important of a part of the ecosystem as some people say. Even, take a look at some of the newer higher end products like Flawless and Immaculate. A lot of those singles aren't showing up on eBay because individuals certainly can't break the boxes. And now it's getting too expensive for group breaking. Group breaking is pricing us out of a lot of stuff that normally it wouldn't. Okay. And I know group breaking is not the only factor there. There are other people that are greedy along the line that hurt that too. All right. Number 14, PNW Carter. What do you think of oddball or international cards? And he's not talking T-Mall either. Well, I'm first and foremost a relic card collector. So there really weren't variations and international variations of a lot of relic cards. So it wasn't something that caught my eye. And then even looking back at some of the stuff from the 90s, if you'll notice here, and I should have flipped it around here, but on the left side, I have the German version of this card. This is the exact same on the front. On the right side, I have the regular issue of the card. So you can see that the text on the back is the only thing that's different. There's some German text on the back. So that never really appealed to me because I didn't feel the need to complete that stuff. And it's interesting. I heard a German collector not too long ago on Dr. Beckett's podcast. He said, even us German collectors, we didn't like that stuff. And they're trying to track it down now. So that was an interesting perspective. So never been big on the international cards. However, when they are different, like I just showed on a recent video, you'll see on the left here, there's a 2016 Hoops Paul George. And then the right side's the international variation. It's like a completely different looking card. And there's some really cool parallels. So that package alone has given me some new perspective on international cards. So I don't want to count them out. All right. I got like 5 or 6 questions left in 3 minutes. So we'll probably not going to make it. All right. I Collect Wade said, why do gold parallels numbered to 10 usually cost more than lower numbered ones, number 5, number 3, etc. of the same player? A lot of times the lower numbered ones are ugly. Like the ones numbered to 5 are usually green. For Pacers, that doesn't look good. Gold is just kind of universally accepted. It's become one of those, popular things in the hobby. And there's just a lot more continuity with gold. So I'm in the same boat. I would much rather have a gold card than one that's numbered a lot lower than that and looks ugly. I don't want something that's green or purple or red. Give me something that's gold. Number 16 comes from Cardboard Insights. Have you ever fallen asleep and had a crazy dream about cards? If so, what was it? And was it awesome or a letdown? The only one that comes to mind is at one point in college, I had a dream that my car was stolen and I was most upset because it had my autographing bag in there. And that was kind of my home base where I had all my Sharpies and all my binders and everything. So I was really upset in that dream about losing that autograph bag, but thankfully that wasn't a reality. Number 17, what's your favorite? This comes from Pokeball. What's your favorite Ron Artest card? I would say, even though there's a lot that I could choose from here, I would say my 2003, 2004 Topps Jersey Edition Logo Man 1 of 1. It's kind of, and it's hard to tell from this picture, it's kind of crude looking in the sense that I say crude as in rough. They were still kind of figuring out how to do the whole patch and Logo Man thing. But to me, him wearing that 23, and I always wanted one of these cards, and I finally landed one. At the time I paid up for it. Now it would be an absolute steal. So that's one that I don't ever see leaving my collection. Very happy to own that one. All right. Number 18 comes from All Star Sports Collectibles. The boom of 2020 was primarily because junk wax cards got weeded out based on condition through PSA. What will happen in 20 years when people rediscover their PSA graded Luka and Ja? Will there be another service that weeds out the PSA 10s to create another boom? That's interesting. Yeah, because, now we're finding all of our old cards, and for a while there was a way to monetize them. And then that cash cow, finally shut down, and it left people in a strange situation. Now, there were obviously a pandemic, and there were other things going on as well. The death of Kobe, even, all of these things contributed. Will there be another service that weeds out the PSA 10s to create another boom? I don't know. I know I've said that it's goofy before. I think some of the Mike Baker stuff where he's grading the graded cards, I think that's goofy, but there are people that value that. Oh, there's my timer. My 20 minutes is up, but I'm going to keep going. There are people that value that. I don't know. I can't think of anything, but a lot could happen. Even in this last couple of years, it's been like dog years. The last couple of years in the hobby has been like 10 or 20, it seems like. Number 19 comes from late 90s B-ball. Said, how do you approach trading with dealers at shows who have their cards priced way above comps? That's a good question. So I would just approach them and say, hey, what's your trade value on this? And kind of go from there. And, if they're not being realistic on stuff, then I'm not really going to engage with them unless it's something that I absolutely have to have. But if they tell me that they'll work with me, and I can kind of sense that they know their prices are high, you just have to feel someone out. But I'm probably not going to engage with someone too much if I don't think they're going to budge and if I think their prices are unrealistic. Number 20 comes from Mama's Cookin' PC in all caps. How did you convince Panini to put that bust Jeff Foster in Immaculate? And can you tell them the streets need a KWAME, Flawless, and PRIZM 100? So he's referring to this card that I posted on my social media. For whatever reason, I think this was 2016, Immaculate had this card numbered to 99, and then there's a prime version numbered to 1, and that was the only patch. And they put Jeff Foster in the set. So it's Jeff Foster's only real jumbo patch card. I was watching breaks to try and find this. I saw it pulled one day. People were kind of moaning and groaning, like, really, who's Jeff Foster? Meanwhile, I'm freaking out in the comments. Please contact me. How can I get in touch with you? And the guy was really realistic. I mean, I think I got this for like $45 at the time, which, now it would be a lot higher than that just because everything's gone up. But I was very happy about that. So anyway, I don't know. KWAME's back in the spotlight. I know he's kind of throwing some shade at people, and people are throwing shade at him. He was in the shoelace set that I mentioned earlier, but maybe now that Topps is back, maybe we'll see some KWAME Brown as well. I don't know if he's going to get in PRIZM, though. Who knows? All right, there we made it. It was a little over 20 minutes, but I hope you don't mind. I appreciate you watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you made it this far. And as always, there are new episodes of the podcast that come out every Thursday. Thanks for watching.